wanted to share an experience, an awareness, a struggle that I'm having, or that I'm trying to figure out what the righteous path is here. There's a story that I've told many, many, many times. I've told it as part of my coaching program. It's actually in my first book, Love More, Fear Less, Float More, Steer Less. And it is a story about the biosphere, or the BioDome 2 project, where the trees fell. The BioDome is a self-enclosed project where they're trying to figure out what it would take to colonize another country. Could you create a fully self-sustained biosphere? And the story is that the trees fell and they couldn't figure out why, and they realized that it was because there was no wind and no storms, and so without the storms, the roots never were forced to develop the network that they needed to sustain a tree of that size. They grew too fast for the root structure and they fell. And it's this beautiful story about how, we can't become the people that we want to be if we don't go through the struggles that we go through. And the same is true with our loved ones. And so when you see someone going through a challenge or a test or suffering, you can find some comfort in knowing that that is what they need to become the tree that they have the potential to be. And it's a beautiful story, and I've told it many times. As I said, it's in my book. And since in the last 2 years, I've tried to find some documentation, some sources that tell that story, because I don't remember where I heard it. And I've been unable to find an accurate or a legitimate source. And it kind of concerned me, like, is that maybe not a true story? And so yesterday I saw that Cracked Online, no, not Cracked Online. Yeah, it was Cracked Online. They posted like a meme with that basic story on it. And I was like, oh, cool. Now I can see if there's any references, but there wasn't any reference to it. And then in the thread, hundreds and hundreds of comments, somebody was like, this is why I have lost all respect for this Cracked magazine. This is not a true story. This is an online rumor that just has taken off and people tell this, but it's not true. You can go to any greenhouse and see that trees do not need wind to develop their root structures. And then there's a long thread where people kept fighting this person, and this person was pretty solid, and he's like, there's no proof of this. And even the Biosphere 2 project has been discredited as being not a scientific project. But even if that did happen, there's no study and there's no tree experts that have come to that conclusion. And I was like, oh my gosh, and I sent a message to this person saying, thank you for letting me know, or thank you for sharing this truth and trying to right this wrong, even though people were like attacking them, because you want to believe this story, right? It's a good story. And this person was like, look, this is the problem we have in our world. This is the problem we have with Fox News. This is the problem we have with vaccinations, is that people, they attach themselves to a story without rigorous checking if it is based in truth and facts. And then somebody said, yeah, no, actually, look. And they put a link to a science site that told the story in detail of the roots. But there was no references. There was one reference to a Wikipedia article about root density. But it didn't prove the story. There was no sources, no resources, no studies, nothing scientific. And it was like, oh, man. So I think what I'm going to do is I will publish, I'm telling this now as an apology. And maybe that is the lesson of the story, is that we always have to be rigorous and continue to be open to being wrong, and continue to be not attached to our narratives or our stories of what is true, even if we like it. Now, I can still stay attached to the idea, to the allegory, the concept that we do need the struggles to develop our root structure, but I can't attach it to this factual experience, the scientific, data, this example. I can't anchor it to that, because then I am discounting the whole concept of anchoring ideas to reality. And when you stop anchoring things to reality is when you get into really dangerous concepts of there is no truth. So I am apologizing. I am sorry for this path. To be honest, when I wrote this book, I didn't intend it to be published. I wrote this as I made like 5 copies, and I brought it to Burning Man, and my plan was to burn it as a way to address and confront the voice on my shoulder that anytime that I was starting to feel good about my life, this voice would say, "Oh, how's that book going that you said you were going to write? Did you ever write that book? Huh? Ever write that book?" And so I took a bunch of essays that I had done as blog posts, put them into a book, published it so I could say, I did write a book. And then when I shared it at people with my friends at Burning Man before I burnt it, everyone I shared it with go, "Ooh, how can I get a copy?" I was like, "Really?" So I never really had it edited. I never really proofread it sufficiently. There's some errors in it, as well as this factual error that should have been checked had it gone through a publishing house. So I am, as always, as my life path, trying to make right the wrongs, trying to find the places in life where there are sharp places, abrasions, maybe places of regret or bad blood with people, untruths, and right them and fix them and clear the air and become a more unobstructed channel to inspiration, collective unconscious, to the divine. So this is my process. This is my apology. This is my journey, and I will continue to believe that idea, freed from the false news. So thanks for your patience. I love you.